I'm here today with David Kingsbury, who's a personal trainer operating out of London, and a very experienced personal trainer doing a number of things with online training and supporting fitness professionals, as well as owning gyms and running gyms. So I think the EREPS membership could potentially have a lot to learn from David. So I'm going to ask David to give a little bit of an introduction to himself as an EREPS ambassador. David has kindly agreed to be an EREPS ambassador, so thanks for that, David.
Pleasure.
Maybe if you could just give a little introduction to what you do, maybe a little bit of your history in the industry. I know you've done some exciting things, so over to you.
Yeah, thanks very much for the introduction. So I've been a personal trainer for a very long time. I qualified when I was 17 years old, and so I've been doing it for 16 years, or nearly 16 years now. And during that time, I've worked across commercial gyms. I've worked in my own personal training studios, as well as traveling the world working on film sets with actors. So I've had a quite diverse take on fitness, and I've worked in all sorts of areas of fitness. I actually got into online personal training in 2012. For me, the reason I shifted into online training was due to the amount of travel that I was doing when I was working with the actors on films. I went from being a very busy personal trainer, doing 50 hours of personal training a week, to doing one PT session a day. And so I didn't know what to do with all that time, and I wanted to carry on helping people. And so I started online personal training at that time, which was around 2012. And I've been in the online game for a long time as well. I own 2 gyms. It's obviously tough times for gyms in the same way it is tough times for personal trainers. And so I've been very fortunate that I do have the online side of my business that I can focus on, but also that I can transition gym members across to, and local people across to as well, and have it as a core base for what I can offer and what I can run as a business currently. Obviously, with everyone on lockdown and everything else, it's a very difficult time for people, and so having that online avenue is going to be very useful. For me, coming on and having a discussion like this is a fantastic opportunity, because I struggled a huge amount in the early stages of my fitness career. It was probably 2 years of being a gym instructor before I even got my first personal training session. And so for me to be able to come in and to hopefully help people who are probably in a situation that I was very early on in my career, I think is a real gift. And I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to do so. I certainly could have done with someone, giving me a little bit more advice and a bit more support. When I first qualified, I found it incredibly difficult. And so I hope that I can offer that expertise and offer the kind of reassurance that you can do really well in the industry, even if you're kind of unsure. There's a lot of opportunity for us all to help people with their health and fitness, and whether that be in person or online, it's the service can still be amazing, and you can still really look after people. So that's a little bit about my history, and a little bit about what I do at the moment as well.
Yeah, no, that's great, David, and I think that'll probably resonate with a lot of people that you're referring to when you're there as a fitness instructor. Took you 2 years to get your first personal training client, and then you're moving to the situation where you're traveling the world, working on films. All sounds very glamorous. How did that happen? How did you get into the movies, David?
Yeah, so I live about 20 minutes away from one of the biggest film studios in Europe, which is Pinewood Film Studios, and I was looking to set up my own personal training space, and I had a personal training client at a gym who worked at the film studios, and so I was discussing with him about he was a successful business, he is and was a successful business person, and so I was discussing with him opportunities for where I might look for a personal training studio in the area and things like that. And he suggested that I look and speak to the property department there, which I did. And I set up a tiny little PT studio within the compound of the film studio itself. And that was kind of my foot in the door there. It wasn't, it's not like anything, it's not an instant success. It took a long time of being there to build up a reputation as someone that could be trusted. to manage these multi-million-pound projects, or the fitness side of these projects. And so it did take some time building up reputation, working with various people on set, working with producers and these types of people, the sorts of people that have the ability to recommend you for work. And so that was the process for me. It was a case of actually getting myself set up in a place where films were made, and being a good personal trainer and doing a good job in that place. And the opportunities presented themselves due to that. I was very fortunate to work with the people I did before I actually got into working with actors. But it wasn't something that happened quickly, and it's something I had to work very, very hard to achieve. The first few interviews I had for films and things like that, I didn't get. I went for some really big interviews early on, and I didn't get them due to a lack of experience in that type of work. But when I look back at it now, and I'm grateful that I didn't get them, because I do feel like that there are times in your life when the opportunities are right and when they're not necessarily right. And for me, if I got them that early on in my career, I certainly think I would have struggled to deliver the service required. I think it takes a long time to be able to do that. And so I was, looking back, yes, at the time it was very challenging. It was a big hit. But obviously, within a few months after that, I progressed, or a few years after that, sorry, I should say, I progressed into actually, some of the biggest, film projects of the last few years. And so I was very, very fortunate to do that, and to, work all over the world and travel and spend some pretty amazing moments working with some very talented people. So yeah.
Yes. No, well, I was reading your list of credits, and some of my favourite movies in there.
Absolutely.
Wolverine and
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed. I remember my
Yeah.
son playing the video game.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But fantastic stuff. Okay. I just really wanted to ask as well, in terms of, we haven't got much time here today, it's just a brief introduction, but in terms of our EREPS membership, if there was one piece of advice that you could potentially give to those guys at this time, which is clearly quite a difficult time, what would that be? So,
I mean, the advice I'm giving at the moment to everyone I speak to, and to myself as well, is really to try and, it's a period of time where the service you provide, the care that you put into everything that you do, is gonna make a huge difference to the people that you're working with. And so my number one tip and advice for now would be to absolutely, if you have clients right now, you need to look after them to the very, very best of your ability. I know this is something that it should be done all the time, but actually I think it's a time where you can realize just how much more you can do for people, how much more you can help people. And it is a real opportunity for us to help people who are going to be very, they are going to be struggling with their health, their mental health, their fitness, their nutrition. They're going to be finding all of these things very, very challenging, because it's been a huge shift for us, but it's also been a huge shift for our clients, our customers as well. They're used to going to the gym 3, 4, 5 days a week, and it's taken away from them. They're used to being able to buy all the foods that they want to have, and it's been taken away. And so in this current moment, it's really just about trying to support, the people that you have as customers, is trying to support those people to the very best of your ability. And then anyone that you're looking to bring in as customers and clients over the coming weeks and months is to do exactly the same, and just to really prove your value. Yes, in the quality of your training, yes, in the quality of your, how you help support people's nutrition, if that's part of what you do, but also just really in the supportive and the supportive nature of what you can provide for someone. It might just be having someone to talk to about challenges and things like that. Whatever it is, just to really try and offer as much care and support as you can, because once this is all over, once this is all done, and there's some sort of normality is regained, the work that we do now is going to be incredibly valuable to us as fitness professionals and business owners moving forwards. But also, it's going to be hugely beneficial to the people that we can help right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, you've got to show, as you say, you've got to show that value. It is a time where people perhaps need more support than ever. So it is a chance to prove yourself, and that'll pay back in over time. So I think that's very good advice, David. And Finally, I'd just like to ask you, in terms of being an EREPS ambassador, an EREPS member, you've talked a little bit about this already, but how do you see that? What do you see the value of that to you?
So, I mean, for me, it's definitely a case of being able to offer some of my experiences and advice and try and give back in that sense, to try and help people who are struggling potentially at the moment, fitness professionals who are struggling. What I should have said in the previous comment I made is actually, for me, I talk about offering that care, that support, and that guidance. But obviously, I have that structure for delivering all of these things in an online business, and this is something that a lot of personal trainers won't have right now. If
Mm.
if personal trainers are used to doing one-on-one training sessions, if they're used to being in the gym all the time, and they haven't got any of this infrastructure for supporting people virtually, then it's definitely something that you need to be looking at, and you need to do it as quickly as possible. You want us to try and stay ahead of the trend with that. I see a lot of the commercial gyms and things like that. They're going to try and really transition towards online, having very strong online presences. But as individuals, as small businesses, we can move a lot quicker, and we can really try and get that kind of online presence up and running. And so, from my point of view, with EREPS, it's a case of being able to offer some of my expertise around the online training, and how to position yourself online, and how to help support customers online, because there's definitely going to be a huge shift in the industry moving forwards, and it's an area that I've got over 10 years, or nearly 10 years experience in.
Okay, no, that's fantastic, and I think we've already offline we were discussing the webinar that we could potentially do with you, where really you could explore that a little bit, and show some of our EREPS members how to transition to that online environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good. So I think that'll have huge value. And thank you for today, David. Thank you for introducing yourself to our membership. I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest out there. We'll follow up, as I say, with a longer webinar where we get into the detail of some of this stuff. But it's great to have you on board as an EREPS member, as an EREPS ambassador, and thank you for all the support you're giving us.
I really appreciate being invited over to do this, and it's a great opportunity for me. And I just hope that I can help as many people as possible over the coming months, and just do my bit to support as many people as I can through this challenging time.
Thanks, David. That's great stuff. Thank you.